Yo, just a little bit of commentary from me this time. Um, Also this way, because this is a pre-recorded video, this way I can kind of speed up when it's nothing interesting happen. Because other way that video would just be way too long. And maybe clear up a couple of things I did on the ship. It wasn't really a very long video, it was 29 minutes, so I feel like it was pretty alright to watch, hopefully, but I don't want this one to be as long as I actually played, because I played for over an hour, and this way I can speed it up a little bit and also talk about the things I'm doing. So for those wondering why I picked up strengths and went with finesse at the end, just the strength just to pick up a Deathfog barrel. It's not really necessary to do, but it gives you some extra XP right at the start. You can attack Alexander with it, and you get 2 of Dallas's pets that way, which are level 8. So it's a really nice XP boost. And yeah, the 100% perfect thing to do would probably be to go full strength instead of going finesse like I did. But I wanted to test it out a bit. I haven't done a physical build at all in this game yet. I've restarted Act 1, I think 2 times, at least the entire Act 1. And I was magic based every single time. So I just wanted to play around with this a little bit. This build is gonna be a necro late game, but early game you have just 3 single target abilities. I mean, what you could do, you could combine necro with totems, with summoning. Just go full summoning, and that scales of intelligence as well. So you go warfare. You can go warfare for the necro damage. You don't need to if you go summoning. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not the biggest fan of summoning, so I went with finesse, and I might be switching around between weapons. Right now I'm doing daggers. I might be going bow at some point. I used the bow once or twice just because it was easier to open up with a ranged attack. But yeah, generally I'm staying with daggers, or I think once or twice I'm using the spear of Brachus Rex. And yeah, the start here is pretty boring, that's why I wanted to speed it up a bit. Hope it's sped up enough just to win this media player quicker mode. Nothing too crazy. And I think most people just know this kind of stuff here. So there's not much point in me talking about it. Probably should have cut this stuff out entirely instead of speeding it up. But the reason I didn't cut it out is because it's honor mode and I do not want to reload. I see many people reload in honor mode, and the idea is, the description of honor mode says you don't get more than one save and you can't reload if you die. So the idea is, if you don't die, if you reload in the middle of a fight, if you see you're about to die and you reload, it's fine. I personally think that's wrong, because I come from the background of playing games that didn't have an Iron Man mode in them, but you just played Iron Made out of your own accord, so you had to, when you died, you just had to scrap your save and had to say, okay, I can't reload. It's a no reload run. That's what this used to be called back in the day in Baldur's Gate. And that's the way I'm playing it, and that's the reason why I didn't want to cut out anything of my recordings. So, because if you cut out, it's kind of sketchy. You could have just cut out a reload. I mean, I could still do that here. Quite obviously, I could still cut out a reload if I wanted to. But yeah, that's basically my reason for showing even the boring stuff, and hopefully that's okay. For some people, that's the next thing. For some people, certain things I did might not be boring, and they might want to know what I did. So you could go and attack Alexander right away here. I did that a couple of times. I've tested this fight at least 3 times, and it worked pretty much every time. I've tested it outside of honor mode, of course. This is the first time I'm doing it in honor mode, but if you haven't died outside of honor mode, then you're not gonna die in honor mode, obviously. It's why I also was doing some strange stuff on the ship. Some people might have wondered why I ate disengagement attacks and stuff like that when it absolutely was not necessary. But just playing around with scoundrel and warfare abilities. Haven't picked the perfect abilities to start with either. I totally forgot that you get adrenaline if you eat, if you're an elf form and eat the limp on the ship, or I wouldn't have started with adrenaline. I read that like one day after I started this build. Started it a couple of days ago, but I was a bit busy, so I couldn't continue it. So as long as you have the Deathfog barrel in your backpack, of course, gonna be a bit staffed for carry weight, but that's gonna be gone in a second. Make sure to go up this ladder here and not trigger Dallas' cutscene. I also choose to not only talk to Magister Yarrow, but also resolve a quest this time. Before I fought the Magisters at the gate. She always joins the fight, but if you play dead, which I do anyway, then she gets out of combat and doesn't really bother you anymore. You have to pay her like a little bit of gold, 25 gold or something, to make friends with her again, which isn't the biggest deal. But it's much more convenient to do her quest first. So that's what I'm gonna do here this time. You can get 2 different yarrow flowers in this early area. The one I just picked up next to the bridge. Next one is here in Fort Joy at one of the exits towards the beach-ish area. So interestingly enough, you don't need invis and you don't need to sneak if you come from the back side here, because Dallas is the one who initiates the dialogue, and she or Alexander or both of them can initiate it, but if you come from the backside they don't see you or you don't get in range. So you can just put this barrel here to have more carry space and then just move on and forget about them. You just have to make sure you don't get into a fight with the 2 magisters guarding the gate. Because if you get into a fight with them and don't have the Deathfog barrel placed down, then you will end up, even if you flee the fight, they will end up going away even though they haven't talked to you. So that's why I always have to place the Deathfog barrel first. So I do this little fight always first because it's super easy, because you have 2 allies and the enemies are focusing the allies and not you. So this is 500 free XP, or I think even 750. I think you get 250 for resolving the quest and 250 for killing each of them. But yeah, at least 500 free XP at the start for pretty much any build and any items. I do the little play dead to skip turn thing, but because I have allies, it doesn't really make the biggest difference. Because he was on them anyway. Or she, I guess. But if you do this, if you're solo in combat, you basically, as long as your initiative is quick, then the enemies, as you saw with the two, what are they called? Void Woken. I used play dead to basically get a free turn. Yeah, I could always, when there's conversations, I could slow down the video. It's just pressing two buttons on my keyboard, but I'm kind of lazy, and most people who would want to watch an honor mode guide probably know all this conversation stuff. Always make sure to get the waypoint here because I've forgotten it a couple of times in test playthroughs and it screwed me over quite a bit. If you only have the beach waypoint. So yeah, the plan is just to do Yarrow Magister's quest and come back and kill the pets, but Alexander's pets. But because I ran towards the beach, there's a couple of other things you can just do on the way, and I end up doing them as well. And I have to say, Act 1 is just very, very easy. I know it is kind of the hardest part of this game, because in Act 2 you get all your source abilities. And especially for Necro, since I'm gonna go Necro in Act 2. Act 2 is... The fights in itself are easier, but Act 1 is just easier because the enemies just don't really do a lot to you. You're always very safe. You can pick the order in which you do stuff. You can pick off single target enemies first, or do quests where you don't even need to fight like I do. I mean, of course, it gets kind of a little harder once you get out of Fort Joy, or the last couple of fights in Fort Joy, I guess, with the guy with the face ripper in the basement, Niles or whatever his name is. It's kind of a tough fight, but if you know certain things about those fights, they're pretty easy. And of course, once you get to level 4, you get a lot of way better abilities. I'm gonna go for Polymorph 2 abilities with this guy because I really, really like Flight. I'm also gonna grab Bullhorn along the way, but probably not gonna use it a lot. Which is a very good ability, but once you have Flight... In combat, Flight is really, really good. Out of combat, the other teleports, sometimes if you want to get to a certain area, they're better. But yeah, in combat, Flight is just much better because it lasts for several turns. And being able to constantly switch places in Act 1, that is very important. In Act 2, it's very different because you're just very strong. Yeah, and almost at every level I check this guy's inventory, but of course at level 2 and when you know you're gonna level up to 3 and to 4 pretty quickly, you don't necessarily want to buy stuff. Yeah, I end up buying those daggers because I have a lot of carry weight too, I guess. A lot of dead weight, all these old boots, stuff like that. Yeah, I kind of should have cut out these merging sessions. I might just skip a later one because I have a bit longer later one. So I always want to do Wizard's Quest very early. If you know a little trick in the prison, then it's very easy to do this even without thieving, without being able to pick the locks of the doors. Talk to her for the reward. Don't think it's any XP, but you sometimes get some good items that way. Sometimes don't. Get a lucky ring drop here. That's the strength of having lucky charm at 2 at least. You can get items. If you have it at 1, you only get like gold drops. But as soon as you have it at 2, you get items. Since I have 14 strengths, I can actually pull this out, otherwise you can destroy it. But I use it for like one fight or so, and it's not the worst spear at all. It's just you can't use backlash with it. So there's a lot of exploration you can do in the early game, where you get XP for just visiting a certain area, even if there's enemies and you choose not to fight the enemies yet, like the frogs here in this cave. Just if you enter the area at the start of the frogs, you get like 600 XP, I think it is. Just in there. I am gonna do the frogs after this episode. At the end of this session here, I was level 4, or I think even pretty close to level 5. I can't remember, but I know I was level 4. And finally decided that I'm gonna go in and attack the frogs. They're not that hard if you sneak all the way through to where the electric one is gonna spawn. If you're exactly at the right spot where you can attack the electric one. The fight is actually really easy. The poison ones aren't that dangerous to an undead, like Fane. So there we go. 300. This is only 375. For killing them you get 600 each, and then for returning to the elf here who's concerned with the children, you get another 600. The same as with the fire slugs. Pretty easy enemies, but a lot of XP. I think the magisters are at around 800, so they're a bit higher. So usually you can do this quest completely for free. What I completely forgot about that I always convinced Stingtail is his name, I think, the merchant, the pyro merchant. I always convinced him with intelligence to give me the oranges, and now I can't do that because I don't have an intelligence character. So I tried to convince him with something else and it doesn't work. And I can also not pickpocket him because I don't have thieving 1. So at the end of the day I can't finish this quest because I don't want to kill him, because you get an enemy silence attacking him if you don't kill him and give him a way to griff. And you get some extra XP out of that. I don't know if you would get the same or any XP if you kill him. So at the end I decide just to wait till I'm higher level and come back to him. But yeah, also a quest you can completely do without fighting. At the end, killing Silence is technically fighting, but because she attacks Stingtail all the time and doesn't attack you at all, usually, it's not really hard to kill her. But yeah, since I'm doing the Alexander thing, it doesn't really matter. I'm still gonna get level 4 easily, even without doing this. Yeah, so doesn't work. I tried to pickpocket, but I don't have thieving 1. Doesn't work either. There I realize why I can't pickpocket him. Get 500 XP here for giving her a healing potion. Sometimes you don't get the hero attack if he doesn't give you his ring or something. I haven't quite realized how it works. I think if you don't go a specific dialogue option with him, he doesn't give you his ring. And that's why you don't get the hero attack. I might be wrong. So now that we have talked to Wither, we can go down here for some extra XP. To actually progress in Wither's quest, you need 12 wits, and I'm gonna show how you do it in a little bit. But yeah, this is 600 XP, so you can always go for that and get this waypoint here. There's also chest here. Yeah, I was really surprised at how weak melee is, or physical damage is compared to once at the start. I really expected it to always be strong, but I have to say at magic, here in this area where the enemies don't really have elemental resistances, it actually has quite some upsides. Now I'm going for Alexander here. Or rather for the pets. You don't really get Alexander or Dallas. They fly away. But you can get a lucky charm drop from one of them. I think I even end up getting one. Yeah, I should have gotten Bull Rush before this. Something like that, so I can go through without getting attack of opportunity there. But doesn't really matter, this guy does 18 damage. Fight went a little weird this time, I did not go far enough into the fog. And also Ivan joins the fight. This doesn't always happen. I think I should have just gone to the outer edge of the fog. But yeah, he's getting wrecked now. So a nice amount of XP you get there. But yeah, one of the magisters is getting away. It's luckily the melee one. The archer one is actually really dangerous, so yeah, I can only advise to go to the outer edge of the Deathfog and play that there. Yeah, at first I thought this was a bug here with Dallis, with the dragon, but apparently she always leaves her dragon form behind, or a visual image of it, I guess. And this guy doesn't want to go into the Deathfog, apparently, so I have to kind of kill him the old-fashioned way. Yeah, there's a lucky ring there. I haven't identified it yet. I just need to do it with a merchant because I'm not gonna go into Lore Master, obviously. If you have the chip available later for respec, you can kind of switch back and forth between Lore Master and Lucky Charm, but honestly, ever since I realized you can do it at merchants, I don't think it's worth it at all to respec for that. Yeah, and Dallas's mace is also kind of a reason why you could go full strength. It really does not matter what your starting build is at all. As long as you know which quest to do first, where to get easy XP to level up, how to do, which strategy to use for the fights, stuff like that. Act 1 is really, really easy. So yeah, for me it's really, really experimental going with daggers here. I think a bow is probably the perfect option to go with, but depending, I mean, if you grab the Deathfog and have 14 strengths, it might be even better just going with a strength weapon, using Dallas's mace, because you get that anyway. It is level 5, so until you're level 5, you're not gonna have a good hit rate on your auto attacks. But if you use abilities with it, of course you can't miss abilities. So unless somebody has a block chance, but that's very rare. I haven't really seen that too often. That enemies with shields have block. But especially not in Act 1, and since it's a level 5 weapon, you're not gonna use it much longer than level 5. Yeah, good old Ifan. He died here sadly. So now I'm very, very close to level 4. And I just put some points into wits so I can uncover hidden stuff I didn't uncover before. Yeah, I need like 1.5k for level 4. Put 1 point into polymorph so now I can use the polymorph skills. I'm gonna try not to use Invis too much, if at all. Haven't used it yet, I think, as far as I remember. Let's skip ahead over this merging session. Maybe just gonna show the start here that if a trader doesn't have gold and you give him any kind of container with 1 gold in it, you can pretty much buy whatever you want, get all your gold back. It's cheese and it's probably gonna get fixed. Yeah, just getting her up to 100. Yeah, of course you do have to have enough gold to actually buy stuff back. Kind of want to skip this, but I also just want to quickly show how this works. So there we go, I got my backpack back. The gold went into the backpack. Yeah, a little cheese you can do. But yeah, I think from now on I'm just gonna skip merging sessions because they're pretty boring. Oops. I hate window capture, but I don't really know how to... Come on. I don't really get window capture to work very well. I mean, I hate screen capture, so what I'm doing right now, just capturing my screen. That's the every little mouse click I do get shown too, but... Yeah, when I try to window capture media player, I just get a black screen. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm quite noobish with OBS. Am I still sped up here? I think I am, right? Yeah. So when you go towards the crocodiles, you get a little XP drop. You don't need to actually fight them to get that. And since I'm very short of next level, I'm just trying to get a couple of sheep XP here. There's no reason to fight them before level 4. With a 1 build, you can pretty much fight them at level 2, and I'm pretty sure you can do that with a physical build too, especially if you have a bow. There we go, I see a little XP drop there. But this is honor mode, and as I said before, I'm not very keen on reloading. Or, not only am I not very keen on it, I am not gonna reload. If I actually die or I'm in danger of dying, yeah, I'm not gonna reload. For me, that defeats the purpose of honor mode. Because for me, honor mode is basically the same as classic no reload back in the day. There's no reason to put yourself at risks, unnecessary risks. You can fight single weak enemies like this, get some XP for it. So yeah, using the spear here. It does quite nice damage on abilities. But of course it is only level 3, so as soon as you get to level 4 you can buy better items. I'm actually gonna fight the turtles here because there's a little bit of XP you can get there. I went up here earlier because of A, exploration XP, and B, if you talk to the little girl and comfort her in some way, whatever your tags are. I had the mystic tag, I think. So you hack her or something. you get a little XP drop as well. So these turtles are very easy with a wand build because you can just create hazards for them and they never reach you. And also explode if you're up close. So that's why it's not actually the best to do the melee. But at this point I'm level 3, so I don't really care. Level 3 and I have this nice little spear here. Yeah, I'm just gonna bull rush out, play that. If even, yeah, don't even need to play that here. Use the bedroll, go back in. I usually don't use play dead like that, but because I was on fire from the exploding turtle, as I said, you should probably just do this with a bow, then you don't need to leave and re-enter combat. I usually just use play dead to reset turns, to get cooldowns back, or if you have higher initiative than enemies, you just get a free turn basically. So now I have bull rush back up. Don't need to waste as much AP to get close. And now we're using play dead the proper way. Click attack immediately so they don't get the armor back. There we go. Even was petrified. I didn't realize that when I fought it. Just seeing it now. Probably didn't need to drink the poison there. These small ones don't do that much damage on their own. Yeah, and I also would not advise to buy armor at the start of the game. Just wait till you have a full set of armor that you found in some kind of containers before you actually buy something. Because what I often had, I bought something which looked good, and then I found something very similar right after. Or better, which is even worse. So not having thieving is not that big of a deal, ever, in this game. Not at the start of the game and not later either. I don't know if you lose something out of chests when you destroy them. I have no clue. But early game the loot is never that awesome, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, once again for Lore Master you can just use the merchants. I haven't done it here because I didn't think about it at that point. But of course I'm gonna do it in future. Yeah, kind of wasting time here going to her stuff before she even has level 4. And I'm so close to level 4. I don't know why I did that there. I think I don't end up buying anything anyway. Yeah. I really hate trading. It takes so much time in the early game. So avoid it at least until level 4. Yeah, and here I realize that I can just do with this quest now because I have 12 wits. When you have 12 wits you can uncover this little hidden hatch here. And there's a level up. Yeah, I didn't even need to do with this quest, but of course if you don't want to cheese Alexander with the Deathfog barrel, you can also... I mean, it wasn't really worth it because I only got one barrel. Usually if you go for the 14 strength route, what you want to do is you want to grab the... From the two barrels that stand close to each other, you want to grab the one that stands a little bit further back first. That way you can grab both of them, but I grabbed the first one first because it was honor mode and I was already thinking, I hope I'm not gonna mess this up first try. And at the end I was happy with one barrel. But if you have two barrels, you can use it to kill Dallas on the ship. Or I mean, not kill her, she's gonna fly away again, but make the fight on the ship a bit quicker. You can also, if you grab three barrels, you need haste and telekinesis for that. You can also make the Alexander fight a joke by placing a barrel on one of the roofs and yeah, teleporting everything to you either with teleport scroll or normal teleport skill. But I don't think it's necessary once you understand how the Alexander fight works, that once the drill worm appears, the Void Woken, everybody's gonna attack the drill worm and you can just hack and slash away. So unless you're speedrunning, there's no real reason to do this with the barrel. Deciding to kill one of these things here. I wouldn't advise to kill them this early on, especially since I just leveled up and haven't gotten any level 4 spells yet. But this one you can fight on its own, so it's pretty easy to do. And always casting bullhorns costs 0 AP, just using it actually costs AP. So that's a cool little thing. About this skill, it has a lot of mobility on it, but of course flight is better. Yeah, once again, just using play dead to reset the turn. Attacking it right away, so its armor and HP don't reset. Probably not necessary at all, but it helps not taking any damage. Making it a chicken at this point when it's almost dead is kind of useless. I don't know why I did that. Or we could have one-shot it there, yeah. Yeah, once again, you want to fight the rest of them when you're a bit stronger, and especially when you have your level 4 skills. They are all melee. The Royal Fire Slug has a ranged ability, but since it's a skill, it can't really use it more than once every couple of turns, and all the others have to come after you to attack you. So if you have flight in that fight, you can just kite them around a lot, especially with the water down there. They can't leave their fire trails in the water, so they can't heal when they're in the water. And here I failed the persuasion check because once again I'm used to having high intelligence and I don't know which stat you should go for when you don't have high intelligence. And I'm not gonna pick up persuasion ever. I've played through most of the game now, and the only time where I really wanted persuasion was in Act 2, where you can respec anyway, and where you talk to those elves who bury one of their own. You can't even get into the area without them going hostile. So there you actually need persuasion, but you can just respec on the ship. So here's a little trick how you, even if you have zero thieving, how you can still access the upper areas of the prison, which gives you access to Wizard's Quest, but also gives you access to the swamp actually, because there's always a teleportation scroll on that skeleton. And with that teleportation scroll, you can just grab the prison key. Sneak in here. Don't know if I could fight these guys at this point. Once again, I don't have my level 4 skills, so it would be silly fighting anybody. So we just teleport the key. Sneak out again. And yeah, if you're in this upper area where I'm about to go now, one other cool thing you can do here, I'm just going for Wizard at this point, but if you use the stairs up, you get to the area where the High Judge Ori wand is. You see these stairs which lead up, and you can actually sneak by to the left side of him and get into the swamps, actually. And that's very helpful if you want to save your cat. I didn't care for it because I never use it because I use stuff like flight. But if you really want to save it before going for Alexander, you just need to have 12 wits before that, of course, but you can just pick wits earlier when you level up to level 2, for example. And yeah, there you go. You can actually already go into the swamps. It will turn all Magisters hostile, but honestly the only wandering Magister is a Magister with a dog. All the others are easily avoided. Of course, because I have 14 strengths, I can open these, but sometimes there's a lucky drop, and this time there wasn't. So I think I'm mainly just gonna buy my skills now, so I might just speed ahead in the video here. Yeah. Don't really need to show all of this. I hope that's alright. But shopping sessions always take way too long. I'm just gonna show. Of course, you always want to go to Wizard and pick up his belt, because it's a free belt which gives you 1 memory slot and some fizz armor. Haven't done that here, I think, yet, but we'll do it next time. So I'm just gonna show the last skills I'm selecting here, and then that was it for this episode. How to get to level 4 easily. Once again, you can get to level 4 without killing the pets, but you might want to grab 1 thieving to steal the oranges from the Drudene guy. And yeah, I'm gonna go there next. So see you then.